Hello, parents, and welcome to Parent Connect. Today we are connecting with Ms. Denise Reamer, lead social worker for the Mobile County Public School System, and Mrs. Stephanie Streeter, Mobile County DHR Director. Welcome.
Hi, nice to have y'all.
Thank you.
So today we're going to connect with our parents with some great information. So let's start off with exactly what is the Department of Human Resources, as we all know as DHR.
It is a state social service agency. We have them in all 67 counties, and the main vision of DHR is helping families and children in need.
Helping families and children in need. So what is up under DHR? And I'm pretty sure there are different levels, different services and systems of support. What are some things that we can find under DHR?
Oh, there's several different services. There's food stamps, which is called food assistance. There's welfare assistance, which is TANF. And then there's the jobs program. And then under child welfare, we have child protective services, where we do investigations of child abuse and neglect.
And I think that's the first thing everybody thinks about when you think DHR. They're the people that come in and help with kids that have, neglect and problems and whatnot, and the families. And pretty much, I think that's all people think, in general, that DHR does. But it certainly is so much more than that.
It really is. We also have children that are in foster care. In Mobile County, we have over 500 children that are in the state's custody. And we're working towards those children going to family or homes, and always looking for more foster parents.
So that would be a good place to start. When you say there are over 500 children currently in foster care.
Yes.
Have you seen an increase in the number of children that are in foster care?
Yes, we have. Each year we keep around 500, but right now we have more than 500, and not enough homes for them to be with families that can meet their needs, especially their educational needs, and that
They can
truly
give them
makes a difference. Give them that support and giving them the best experience that they can have while they're in care.
So when you talk about a foster family,
Yes.
what is the role of a foster family for a child?
It's to meet their basic needs. It's taking on that role of being the parent, being responsible for their daily needs, make sure they're going to school, doctor's appointments. They're taking on that parental role.
Taking on the parental role.
And for how long would they have, to do that? For how long with each child? Does it vary from situation to situation?
It does. It varies from situation to situation. Sometimes it could be just for the weekend. Other times it may be longer. But we're also looking for adoptive parents who are willing to be a forever home for our foster children as well.
For the kids that are in foster care.
That's correct.
And when you become a foster parent, sometimes is it just one child or can it be siblings?
It can be. It can be one child or a sibling. And sometimes the foster parents, they will make the decision of, I can handle just one child in my home, and the siblings may be placed with someone else, and they all get to visit together like a big family.
So they do still have that quality time of being a family.
That is correct.
That's wonderful.
Okay, so now the hard question. What if I wanted to become a foster parent? What are the steps that I would
What do
need
you
to
need to do to be one of those?
Okay, the first step is to call 1-866-4-ALABAMA-KIDS.
For Alabama Kids?
Yes,
Okay.
or you can call the 450-7000 number, and we will connect you and get you all the information to become a foster parent.
So when I make that phone call, I'm
Yes.
pretty sure there's an application process.
It is.
And probably an interview. Will they come out to your home to make sure that your home is actually a home that can be a family home?
It
That's
is.
acceptable.
We do a home evaluation and their classes, so
Okay.
that the prospective foster parents will get all the training that they need to know what it's going to take in order to take in a child who has been through some things.
To be more aware of the situation and not blindly think everything's going to just be great with this child coming in.
That is correct.
How long are the classes?
It's 9 weeks.
Oh, wow.
And that's
Yes.
before the child, before you are actually given the go-ahead to become a foster parent. You have to complete the 9 weeks.
That is correct.
So, because even though I'm a parent, it may not mean that I'm necessarily that person to become a foster parent.
That is
For one
correct.
thing, I imagine the training and also the willingness to be and deal with kids that have special needs that are coming from all sorts of different backgrounds.
Right.
I'm sure not everybody can do it.
Now, everybody can't, but they may know someone else who can, or someone else who's willing to do it. And that training gives them the opportunity to be exposed and to learn what all it takes.
To make sure that you can truly do it. Because
That
you
is
can be a
correct.
great parent, but
Correct.
it's a totally different situation when you're a foster parent.
Correct.
Right. And
Correct.
they do have social workers on their staff, and then we have social workers on the school
school
system
side.
side. Because a couple of years ago, the federal government mandated that we designate a foster care liaison on the education side and an educational liaison on the DHR side. And so I'm the foster care liaison for Mobile County Public Schools, and then Mr. Michael Hastings is the educational liaison
For
on
DHR.
DHR. So what we're trying to do is also make sure that their educational experience
Are
is
being
very, it has a lot of continuity to it. Because if they're already having difficulties and they're maybe being moved out of their home
Right.
into a foster home, we want to make sure that their educational experience is very seamless.
Right.
So we
You
work
still
very
have that
closely.
stability when it comes at least
Smooth
to your
transition.
schooling.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So when we come back, parents, we're going to continue to talk about that road towards moving towards becoming a foster parent. We'll be right back. Thank you.
I'm Renee Phillips, your host of Homeroom. Will you join us as we talk with the students, teachers, and staff about all of the great things happening in our schools?
That's right, Renee. Not only are we here to keep you informed about the great things happening in our schools, but to also keep you updated on safety issues.
Our show, Safe Schools, looks at ways to keep your child and our students safe.
Not only are we looking at ways to keep your child and our students safe, but to keep you informed on how to connect with us.
Manténgase informado aquí en Conexión a Padres.
And we also score big from pre-K to high school with MCPSS Athletics.
And then Inside Education puts it all together for you, showing you the ins and outs about news and events taking place across the Mobile County Public School District. We do this to keep you informed.
Welcome back, parents. We are connecting with Mobile County DHR today, and this is a great conversation, Mrs. Streeter. So we were talking about the process if I wanted to become a foster parent. So do you find that sometimes relatives become foster parents?
We do, as in many situations, relatives become a forever home for a foster child by becoming a foster parent. In addition to, in many circumstances, they are eligible for the kinship guardianship program.
Okay. What is that?
Yes,
What's that
the
about?
kinship guardianship program is where a relative who becomes a foster parent gets custody through the juvenile courts, and they're able to receive financial assistance on a monthly basis to help with the care and welfare for that child.
That particular child that is a family member.
That is correct.
Because I'm sure in most instances when you can connect with the family member, that's better.
That would
for
be the best
child in most
placement.
instances.
Yes.
That's,
So-
I think, that's what you usually look
We
for
do.
first,
We
right?
do.
And so in that case, you would still go through the 9-week classes in order to, because you still need that connection
That
piece.
training.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I went through that, and especially if this is my relative, and then once I'm certified that I have the ability to become a foster parent. And it may be a weekend situation. So let's say, will I get a phone call if it's in the event when you need a foster
How are you
parent?
notified?
Right.
You actually have a resource worker who is specifically assigned to your particular home.
Okay.
And so you will get a phone call when there's a child who's in need of a home or for the weekend. And if for some reason you need a break, we have resources to help support
Oh.
our foster parents as well.
Okay. So we went through this process,
Yes.
and then you mentioned the forever home.
Yes.
Because there does sometimes it may arise that this is a child I've connected with, and we know that this child needs a home. So the next step would move towards the forever home. That's permanent adoption.
Correct.
Okay.
That is correct.
So what's your percentage of? Do you have a lot of families that move towards the forever home?
Or do they just stay as foster parents?
Actually, many of our foster parents are licensed not just to foster but to adopt as well, because they have situations where they begin fostering a child and the situation becomes more of a permanent, and where they decide, well, hey, I've gotten a bond with this child.
I've spent a long time with them.
Yes, they have this relationship, and so they become that forever home for that child.
So at some point, they go from being foster parents to being the adoptive parents.
That is correct. And our foster parents are licensed for both, whether they want to just foster or if they want to become an adoptive home.
So
as
going
well.
through that process, it gives me that. That's one.
That option.
That's correct. That's correct.
Stephanie, can you talk a little bit about, I think a lot of times people they just don't know if they can do it, if they can become a foster parent. And I know you mentioned the kinship guardianship for relatives, but as far as a regular foster parent who's not a relative, talk about the assistance. I know you talked about respite care, but talk about maybe like the financial assistance that person
The foster
receives.
parents
Yeah.
would
Great
get.
question. With our foster parents, they also receive financial assistance. They do while the child is there with them to help with their overall care each month. It's considered a board payment to help with whatever they need. In addition to, while they're in the state's custody, they have a social worker that's assigned to that child who helps with meeting those needs as well. But I want to definitely convey that with our foster parents, anyone can be a foster parent. It's a special role that can take an extraordinary opportunity for a child.
So grandparents, it doesn't.
That's correct.
Right.
Yes.
Anybody at all that just has the heart
That is
to open up
correct.
their home to a child in need.
Yes. Open your heart and open your home.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
One of the other things that we collaborate with DHR a lot about are our teenagers who are in foster care. And I wanted Stephanie to talk a little bit about some of the things that they do and that we collaborate with them on for the teenagers who are in foster care, kind of nearing graduation and that sort of thing.
Definitely with the planning for those youth for the next steps in their future, because just because they're in foster care doesn't mean that they need to not plan for what's going to happen in their future lives. And we work really hard with the school system, looking at their welfare, their educational goals, and how to achieve those next steps. We have an independent living program in which we work with the youth towards those future goals. For example, youth who want to go to college, we have the Foster and Hope program, which is a full tuition scholarship in the
that's
state of
wonderful.
Alabama for those youth. And then if we find that there are some barriers, we work closely with the school system in order to see how we can eliminate those to prepare them for their for the future.
Wow, that's a lot, because the goal of foster care too is that sense of normalcy.
Yes.
So even though I'm with high school, I'm with the foster family, that family's goal is still to nurture me so that I can graduate. That's
Exactly
wonderful.
right.
So parents, when we come back, we're going to continue to talk about some of the great and wonderful things that are happening with DHR. Thank you.
Each month, more than 90 guns are reported stolen from unlocked vehicles, creating the potential of serious injury or death.
Lock it up.
Many violent acts and crimes are committed with stolen guns.
Lock it up.
According to ATF, stolen guns pose a substantial threat to public safety.
Lock it up.
Be responsible. Take time to record your handgun serial number and secure it from thieves. Lock it up.
Lock it up for me.
Hello parents, and welcome back to Parent Connect. We've been connecting with Miss Denise Reamer and with Miss Streeter about DHR and the foster care program.
So if this was a telethon and we were saying parents call in if you're interested, in all seriousness, how many parents, how many homes would
be the ideal for you?
Right.
The ideal goal would be 500 foster homes.
At least one for every child that you currently have.
Right.
Exactly.
And that shows the great need.
It does.
That shows the great need. And we were talking about it, and all kids are critical, but that critical area in high school,
high
those
schoolers.
transitioning, because
Right.
we know we need to be able to make sure that they have the next steps.
Right. So the social workers in social services at the school system pay particular attention to our foster care children in those high school years.
Right.
Yes.
All of our high school children who are at risk or homeless or in foster care, kind of those extra vulnerable populations
Right.
that we want to make sure that we're getting them, if they get their FAFSA, which is the federal financial aid form, filled out. We want to make sure that they are in any career tech programs, career development. So if they're not going to college, then
For
we
their
have
future.
So we have some other options out there for them. So that's why we work very closely with Stephanie's workers at DHR and the foster care division, so that we can make sure that those forms are filled out correctly. We also want to make sure that they get those vulnerable populations get to go to prom, and
All-
They have
miss
all
any
the
of those.
opportunities.
we want them to have all the same opportunities that our children who are not in those vulnerable populations get to have. So we actually have an event coming up, and I'll let parents know about it too. It's called the Royal Closet, and it starts this Saturday. We're collaborating with Foster Care Division and the Pillars. Heather Pfefferkorn, who owns the Pillars, has graciously offered that space, and so we'll have prom attire for all of those kids who cannot.
by.
Yeah, they get to shop, just like it's like a store, and they'll get to so that they can get prom attire as well. And we want them to have those same experiences. We want them to be
For it to be just as special for
yeah,
them.
absolutely. So we make sure that our social workers are connecting with those children in those settings at school, and then also connecting with the foster care workers.
And what about if families wanted to donate prom attire? Especially, from years back, your kids
Yes.
already don't wear it anymore and
Right.
whatnot. Who do they have to contact, or where would they take those to?
There's a page on Facebook called The Royal Closet.
Okay.
And they can donate directly at the Pillars, or they can donate to any of our high schools, our 12 high schools.
Okay, that's
during
Certainly
this
need,
week.
parents
is,
certainly
right.
need to keep that in mind.
They do. It's a wonderful experience for the children, for the young people, because, and we also help young men, not just young women, but
Because
also young
foster
men.
care is, unfortunately, there are males and females in
Yes.
the foster care system.
Right, exactly.
So what percentage are you looking at as far as high school students that are in the
That are in
foster
foster
care?
care.
I would say about 25% of the youth that are in foster care are in high school.
Or in high school.
So if there's
Wow.
a family who's watching, or an individual or grandparent, and something's tugging at their heart, so that in order for their home to become a foster care home, and we'll also put your information up at the end, they can call.
They can. 1-866-4-ALABAMA-KIDS.
So
For
because they're
Alabama
needed,
kids.
the
That's
foster
correct.
home.
Or they can call the local number, which
Correct.
is 251
450-7000.
Yep, 7,000.
450-7000, because that's a
correct.
great need. So we know that there's the foster care. So what are some other things that we can find at DHR? We know there's a big collaboration with the school system, and we know that one thing that I would really like for us to talk about, the mandatory reporting of children, because that's so important. And I think it's important for parents to understand no one's out to get.
That's right.
Right.
So all employees of Mobile County Public Schools and of higher educations are considered mandatory reporters. So everyone from the custodian to the bus driver
Right.
to the teacher to the principal, all of us
Everybody.
are mandatory reporters. And what that means is that if there's a reasonable suspicion of abuse or neglect, that we make a report to DHR, and then DHR takes it from there. They're not asking us as mandatory reporters to investigate or ask a lot of questions. They are just saying, this is the law, this Alabama state law says this is what we have to do, and it's for the protection of children.
See something, say something.
That's right.
And
See
it's
something,
just a
say something.
suspicion. You're
That's
not
right.
That's
saying
correct.
that we know for a fact that there is abuse going on, with this child and at this home. You just think, there's a suspicion, so all you're doing is just reporting it, and then it's up to DHR to do the investigation.
That's right. And it's most important because our children really don't have a voice of their own.
Right.
We have to be their voice. And so for children under the age of 18, we have to be that voice and make sure that they are getting the protections that they deserve as children.
Right. And from the DHR side with the mandatory reporting, how does that help you all?
Oh, it helps to protect a child and to make sure that they're safe. You know, they may
The
be able
most
to be
important
safe.
thing.
Correct. Safety's number one,
Exactly.
and making sure they're getting what they need, because our involvement can make all the difference in a family situation that's needing help.
Right. And it's not that you're out to get someone, because a lot of times, sometimes reporting can actually help a family
You're
get some
exactly right.
services or assistance that they need.
Like you were saying, the service with the food and the other
Correct.
things, it doesn't mean that just because somebody has,
Right.
has a suspicion and has been reported that the child's going to be removed from that home.
That is exactly right, because, for example, with someone who's getting food assistance, we have the employment and training program in which we can work with the client to find out what barriers they have and help them to achieve their goal of employment.
Right.
Yes.
And the other thing that you guys have, which I love, is family preservation.
That is
And
correct.
so, DHR's main goal is to keep children with their families and put the services in that they need to keep their children with them. And so a lot of times, as you said, a lot of parents are a little bit afraid
Yes.
of DHR. But what we're trying to show is that DHR has so many different things that they can do to help the family so that they can keep their children with them in their homes.
stay together.
And stay
Family
together.
members.
Right.
But receive the help.
Exactly.
Can I tell you, with family preservation, it's like we're wrapping them up with services to help to address whatever's going on and keep children with family, keep them with their parents or with relatives
important.
the best we can.
Right. Well, parents, we will be right back, and we will continue this conversation with DHR and find out the great things that they're doing, and so that you all will know which way to turn. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Kyla Brown, and I am Redefining Ready. I'm taking AP and dual enrollment courses that will help me earn college credits while in high school. I am studying dental science that will assist me in my career choice of becoming a dentist. I am a Student Government Association representative and actively involved in other activities around my school and community. And this is how I am redefining ready.
Welcome back, parents. Mrs. Streeter, so I want to pick back up with, because you said something that was so important. You all actually have a jobs program, training.
We do. With our food assistance program, we have the employment and training program. We have partnerships with many of the agencies in the community, like Goodwill Easter Seals of the Gulf Coast, AIDT, several different agencies to help with connecting parents and families with getting employment and becoming self-sufficient.
That's wonderful.
Because that's what leads to getting what you need in your home.
That is correct.
And then housing.
That is correct.
You also help with that.
We do with our family preservation cases. When we're wrapping the family with services, we're helping with whatever barriers they have, whether it's housing, whether it's a need for counseling, for the child, for the parents. Just various services to make sure that the child is safe there.
So when you say wrap around, you really mean
Yes.
wrapping
We do.
these
We
families
really-
with what they need so that they
really
can
do.
stay together and
That's
have
correct.
everything that they need. And I know that collaborative piece with the school system
Yes.
is so important also, because we want our schools, our students in school learning and
Learning.
leading and that every day.
Exactly. So within the Division of Student Support Services is our Social Services Department. And so we have a collaboration, and we meet quarterly with DHR with all their divisions. We do cross-training. We have our DHR folks come and train our counselors, our nurses.
That's great.
Yep. And then we also have our social workers and myself. We go to DHR and we train their foster care workers, their child protective services workers, their family preservation workers, just to let them know that we're here because our visions are the same.
Yes.
To keep children safe and healthy and learning and with their families. And so, so we have that very good collaboration. We actually have a written protocol between our two agencies that the superintendent reviews every year, and so that we try to build on that, because in social services, what we have on our end is we want to make sure that those families get to the connected resources that they need,
Yes.
whether it be emergency food assistance or housing. So we
The
have some of
resources
the
in the
same
community.
goals, right? All the resources in the community we try to make sure those students and families get those. And if they're involved with DHR, then we work closely with that DHR worker to make sure we're all on the same page.
And then also when it comes to the families with DHR foster care, to make sure that we're following the guidelines, because there should not be any barriers just because you're in foster care or just because.
Exactly.
We've got to all make sure we're pulling our load because it's about the child.
We actually treat our foster care children very similar to how we treat our homeless children. And the Every Student Succeeds Act that it was enacted a few years ago mandates that. So that we try to keep those children, the foster care children, the homeless children, our at-risk children at the same school for the whole year if we can. If there's not a safety barrier, then we try to keep them there, and we work with our transportation department to work on that.
Which is very important for kids to maintain that stability and be at the same school.
Exactly, because they know their teachers, their counselors, their lunch ladies, and they're bus drivers.
They feel comfortable
they feel
in that
comfortable.
setting.
And so we want to make sure that continues. We also have, mental health at our schools. We have now 54 of our schools that are served by Alta Point school-based therapists, and all 12 of our high schools are served by in-school bridge therapists. So we have a lot of services that we offer through the school system and in conjunction with our collaboration with the Department of Human Resources.
So, and it keeps the wheel going, but then also a big piece of this is the anonymity piece.
Absolutely.
Because knowing that we don't know who's who. There's no difference. We just want to make sure that our students are being taken care of and that families know what's available.
Right. That's the most important piece, is that the families know what's available.
So when we know that foster family, we need to make some phone calls. So in order to contact DHR, and we want to contact you, and I think hopefully this has helped to relieve some of that DHR because we're all in this together, and DHR is a service system. So how do we contact DHR?
Okay, the phone number is, to become a foster parent, is 1-866-4-AL-KIDS. Or if you have any questions, the local office is 251-450-7000.
Okay, and how many branches do you have here in the Mobile area?
We have 2 locations. We used to have 4. Now we have 2 central locations. The 3103 Airport office, which is connected to the Marriott Hotel on the corner of Airport and Bel Air Boulevard. And we have our new location, the 2970 Cottage Hill Road office, which faces WKRG Studios. That is where our food assistance, our TANF, and our jobs programs are located.
So what about walk-ins? If someone doesn't want to call, they need some assistance, can they just
walk in? Is it okay to just walk in?
They can walk in anytime between the hours of 8 and 4:30, yes. And they are welcomed.
Well, the collaboration piece you cannot go wrong with because it's really needed. And hopefully there's some families listening who have decided, or even if they want to inquire more about becoming a foster parent,
can at least call and ask.
Right, because there seems to be a great area of need as far as being a foster parent. Well, we are so excited about letting our parents know what all takes place with DHR. And of course with Mobile County Public School System, Student Support Services, they do a great job.
Yes,
and
they do.
We could not make it without you all.
Thank you.
So thank you, parents. This has been a great show, and hopefully someone is watching who finds it in your heart to make your home a foster home.
Open your heart, open your home. Like you had said.
Thank you all so much. And Carmen, we will connect again soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.